Steve Sexauer with the San Diego Pension Fund. He's an expert and a long-time investor and manager of funds in general. But I know now pension funds are on everybody's mind, particularly when it comes to state finance and everything else. What do you see are the biggest problems from the desk that you sit at?
So Bob, the desk I sit at is I'm the Chief Investment Officer for the county's pension system. And I don't think of it so much as problems,
Okay.
but challenges in reality. And I think that people forget that a pension's just wages delayed, and the employers promise them,
Sure.
and the actuaries are pretty good at figuring out what it costs to fund them. But then if they're not well run, you get into these box canyons. So in the United States today, if you go to the state of Wisconsin, they are fully funded. They are a well-run system. If you go to San Diego County, we're pretty close to fully funded by the rules of that. Healthy county, well-run. You go to my home state of Illinois, not well-run. I saw Bob's reaction.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you get out of this?
Exactly.
And so a couple things. You will not invest your way out of it.
It's too deep. The
It's
hole's too deep.
So you have three and only three variables. Okay. Taxpayers today can put more in the case of Illinois, a lot more. Workers today, even if it's constitutionally protected at this moment, can get less in the future. Those are the two you always hear about.
Right.
There's a third thing you can do. Public entities live forever. 20 or 30 years is a long time. We compounded agricultural productivity at a little over 2%.
Exactly.
We went from 40% of the population to a half.
Right.
So there's a lot of room for public sector productivity improvements. And if you can create the incentive structures to share those over 20 or 30 years.
But some of those options you talk about really are wealth transfers between existing workers and past workers, or potentially they don't necessarily match up, right?
Right. So your deep, learned training as an economist saw right to the heart of the matter. So what actually we're trying to do is make the current generation pay for the current services,
Right.
and what they'll pay in the future. They actually accrue it each year. And they have this odd term called intergenerational inequity, which means you leave a bigger bill.
Yeah, exactly.
So there will always be some wealth transfer. So if you take more in taxes in the future, you've transferred wealth from the future generations to today's generation.
Now, in your case, do you actually have a fund, or is it like Social Security, where they think they have a fund, but they really don't?
We have a fund. Okay. So the good news
You
about,
actually have money.
We have a trust. We have a legal entity, and it has a trust document. Here's what you can do and can't do. But I want to go back to this thing about the future, because you're right. So imagine you are running the government of the state of Florida, and you work out with the unions all sorts of new work rules, and you pay people well, but maybe you don't place people on attrition, and there's this savings. Well, the taxpayers would say, I want the savings. And you would say, you're only going to get 2/3 of them because I want to pay this pension.
Right.
And the funny thing is the labor unions have an incentive to do this. One is they get paid.
Sure.
But two is they want the security of a fully funded pension.
Exactly.
Because I think it's very stressful if you're an employee, come into work every day, you don't know any better, and you hear in the news, we may take your pension away.
So, bottom line, are we better off now than we were a few years ago as far as these pension funds are concerned, or is it mixed?
We are so far better off because the markets went up. The core problems in the states like Illinois, no change.
No, gotcha. Okay, hey, thank you very much, Steve. Great.